we're doing something a little different on today's episode of the podcast. Brad and I just did a hike up in Riding Mountain National Park. I was like, why don't we bring our little portable recorder that we bought? I'll tell the story about that later, but like, why don't we bring the little portable recorder that we brought? We'll go on a 14-kilometer hike. Which, now that we're here, we're like, oh boy.
That was a long walk.
It was a long walk.
We started walking, and I was like, all right, I'm good to do a hike. And then we turned onto like the less used trail, and we're just like knee-height grass.
Yeah, like
we're like 6 kilometers.
At one point, they were like, "Oh, the sign was like, yo, this way to Bald Hill," and we're like, "Is it?" Because it doesn't look like there's a trail here.
It was just bush.
I don't know about this.
Through bush.
But we're kind of just like out in nature. We're touching grass, if you will,
which we don't do often.
Which we don't. Typically, we are not. This is not our environment. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard the show before, but we're usually in a recording booth.
Yeah.
So you're definitely going to hear like some wind waving in the background. You're going to hear like mosquitoes because they are killing us right now.
No, they're pretty hefty out here.
They're pretty tough. I gotta stop. Go ahead.
I've got to use like half a can of bug spray.
Oh my god, the amount of bug spray that is on my body right now.
I have a layer just around me.
Like my shoes are soaked, but I think it's because of bug spray and not because of like moisture or anything like that.
Yeah, we walked through some water to get here. To be fair.
We did.
We did. It was moist.
We might get some special guests on eventually, like a bear.
Yeah, Yogi the bear.
Yogi, my boy Yogi, he might show up.
He might show up.
Yeah, it depends. We're talking to his people. He's talking to our people. It's the whole thing.
It's a thing we got to get going.
But sure. The entire point of this podcast, like, is A, I want to get outside more, and B, I just think like the best conversations happen when you're. I just put my arm in so much disgusting.
What is that?
I don't know. What is that?
Is that poop?
I hope not.
You get poop on your arm?
I don't think so.
You get a poopy arm.
I think it's just dirt. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it is just dirt.
Yeah, why don't we...
That sucks that that's on yours. Mine's so clean. Mine's so nice.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
I'm so happy for you, actually.
I have some water if you need some.
No, it's okay. I got water.
Okay.
I came prepared.
You did come prepared.
Yeah.
You got a brand new hiking backpack.
Okay, well, we don't have to talk about it, but yeah, I just bought a new hiking backpack.
I want to talk about it.
No big deal. But like the whole point of this podcast is like I think like the best conversations happen on hikes and in car rides. Because right now what's happening is that we found these 2 Adirondacks that are just sitting here in the middle of the trail.
Very random, actually. We just rolled across. We were going to do the podcast on the top of the hill.
Yeah.
But we came back to these Adirondacks.
Because like it's shady, it's comfy. There's like a little table for a little recorder.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of like, we're like, this is kind of perfect.
Yeah,
so we're
really
sitting here. I'll describe it for audio listeners.
Like there's even the option of video.
Yeah, we're kind of just sitting out, like looking out at the valley.
Yeah, I don't know. We're kind of on a hill in these chairs.
Yeah,
and there's just this little hole in the brush, and we're just looking out.
We're not even like talking to each other. Like we're sitting next to each other, but we're kind of just looking out.
Yeah,
I kind of like it. It's like the thing when you're driving. It's like you're not looking at each other because one person's looking at the road, and I guess both people are looking at the road probably. But
yeah,
that's how like those are some of my favorite conversations because like looking at each other when you're talking is kind of difficult sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, Brian, what do you want to talk about? What's up?
I don't know. I don't know what I want to talk about. It was a crazy hike to get up here.
Yeah,
and we
chatted the entire way. We
haven't shut up for the whole time.
Yeah,
we've both been just yapping away, and it's been awesome.
So why don't I start then?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I've had this idea for a while.
Okay, I'm listening.
Seriously, like taken seriously.
Right.
What are things that you actually want to put on your bucket list?
Actually put on my bucket list?
Yeah, because like a lot of people are like, yeah, I want to like cure cancer. It's like, okay, let's be realistic here, right?
What can we actually do?
You could.
Right.
But like, I'm just saying, like, what are some attainable things that you want to ensure that you cross off?
That I cross off? I definitely want to travel outside of Canada at some point in time.
Are we talking a different continent?
Potentially. I'm thinking definitely different continent. Like, I want to do like I was in the plane for 16 hours. I don't even know where I am. I've never touched this dirt before in my life.
Then the captain comes on. He's like, mayday, mayday, we're going down.
And
the whole thing.
Yeah, it is a whole thing. I would love to do a crazy trip like that, spur of the moment. Another bucket list would be multi-day hikes, man.
Yeah.
Multi-day hikes.
Absolutely. Like, you got your whole camp kit, like...
in your backpack.
Yep.
And you're good to go. I think it'd be so sweet, because I don't know, how long we think we were walking?
We got here at, like, 9 o'clock?
Yeah,
so it's 12:30 now.
It's been 3.5 hours.
Yeah, we've been out here.
Of walking.
Yeah.
Imagine you did fucking 7 hours of walking, and then you just
and you're not done.
and you're not done. You're not even close to done. You got to set up camp and chill for the night.
Yeah.
Also, I think any sort of like bushcrafty stuff just gives me a lot of comfort. So I kind of want to do it. I kind of want to explore that side.
I like that. I would love to do that too. Like, especially like if there's a view that's so worth it at the end.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think you find, I don't know, they're probably around like Manitoba, but I also feel like they're not.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I looked up like best trails around Brandon, and honestly, this was like one of the best ones.
It was one of the best ones.
And it was a nice trail.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
It's pretty unreal,
like,
actually.
the trail itself was a little
unkept.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just.
But that's not me. I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought I thought it was going to be like hot as hell because like this weekend has been nuts.
It has been a crazy hot week.
Yeah.
It's just muggy, kind of.
Just muggy. Well, yeah, like we're looking out now, and I was like, is that like smog, or like is that like smoke?
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a sheen. There's like a white foggy sheen.
Yeah, it looks like the render distance coming in Minecraft.
The render's too low, so you can't like your PC can't handle it.
Yeah, it looks like we got to turn up the settings a bit.
Yeah, totally. We got to get 4090 in there on the Earth.
Yo, somebody put in an Earth update.
Yo, God, can you throw some patch notes at me, bro?
Yeah.
We optimized.
We optimized. That's funny.
Yeah. Okay.
I appreciate just being out here, man.
Me too.
I thought it's weird because I'm trying to be energetic. I'm trying to be like, oh, but really my vibe right now is just so at peace with this sick spot we're sitting in.
I really agree. I think like a lot of the podcasts I try to like keep up the energy, but some of the ones that I really like the most are when we're just kind of like sitting there chatting, and like it's not like there's no performance that needs to be done. There's no like, hey, we need to keep the energy up and blah 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 blah. It's kind of just like us being real. And I was kind of thinking of like an episode title or description for this one.
I was thinking about a title too.
Genuinely, I think it would just be like in the description we'd be like, let's get real with Randy and Brad or something like that.
Let's get real.
Like let's talk real, you know?
All right.
Real stuff.
It feels quite vulnerable to be like, oh, let's talk real on the podcast.
Yeah, I know, because like people are listening.
Yeah, people are
gonna
listening.
Be like, hey
people.
Hey people.
But also, when we do get talking about that, I bet you a lot of people feel the exact same way.
Absolutely. It's very like relatable.
Yeah, I feel like one thing about emotions and all that other shit is like all the other shit that we just
all that garbage.
All that garbage is that everyone has the same feelings. Yeah. But people are so scared to share them because they're worried of being judged.
It can be scary, man. It can be scary.
It can
like
be scary.
You can opening up to others and having that kind of vulnerability. Like we were talking about vulnerability on the way up here. It's very difficult. It's very tricky to be like, hey, I trust you enough that I'm going to talk to you about this thing that I only tell myself or only entertain in my mind.
Yeah, it's like this is it feels like such a personal experience, something only you can ever feel, but then you put it out there and a lot of people usually connect to it.
Yeah.
At least at some level.
Well, and like I've had a couple messages throughout the 2 years? 3? We're getting up to 3 years.
I haven't really been counting, to be honest.
I think we're getting up to 3 years,
wow.
Which is nuts. I've had a couple people reach out and be like, or if we're talking about the podcast, they'll be like, yeah, that was a really good point. I'm like, yeah, that is something that like we don't talk about enough. Like, I don't have an example off the top of my head, but
for sure.
We've definitely hit on points. Like, it's like the monkeys in a typewriter thing. Of like, at some point, something will like they'll write Shakespeare.
Yeah.
If you get like a million monkeys with a million typewriters.
If we have enough conversations, eventually we'll hit
a little nugget of wisdom, and then we'll make a fart joke or something.
Yeah, probably. Or Alfredo joke.
Yeah, Alfredo joke. Oh man, it's been a good podcast. Like in general, like I think our like.
Yeah, let's reminisce on that.
Sure,
maybe a little bit.
I think so.
I think it's the podcast has been such a like. An outlandish thing in a way. Like it feels like when we do the podcast, it's just something just so like not an experience a lot of people have.
I agree.
Doing a podcast, or not something that's like you say you do a podcast and people are like, oh really, you do a podcast?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's very interesting.
Oh, and you and I were talking about it on the way up where it was like I guarantee when we started this, people definitely were like, oh, that's fucking stupid. Yeah. Or like they rolled their eyes. But I remember
especially when they heard the name. They're
yeah,
like,
I mean, it's a dumb name. I love the name, but it's also a dumb name.
It is such a stupid name.
But I think it encapsulates like what we're going for in that like we don't. this isn't serious.
No.
These are conversations that we're having, and we're yapping. We're not sitting here being like, let's deliberate on the idea of using AI, and it's like, no, that's boring.
Yeah, we're just...
Let's have fun conversations that we are passionate about, and like let's conversate, and let's. Oh, I didn't do the biweekly connection through conversation thing at the beginning of the podcast.
Man.
No, we gotta start over.
Oh man.
Oh jeez.
Biweekly. I mean, this will be the most important one to do it on.
I guess it would be,
but it's okay.
We've been talking about connection a lot.
Connection. That's
we didn't even do housekeeping, bro.
Oh man.
Get right into San Fran.
We just sat down and just started yapping.
I don't even think we
again.
need it though.
No.
You know?
Maybe not in this episode.
We don't really need an intro. This is such a like experimental form of the show that we've ever done, and I really like it. I'm bringing this out to this recording setup out to Vancouver when I go visit Jordan, and I'm really excited about that because we're kind of just gonna like have our adventures for that week, and then we're gonna like recap and be like, oh, bro, like when we did this, that was insane, bro.
That was so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's surprisingly small. When he pulled out this whole setup, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
The whole
It's
recording
compact.
setup is like the size of my hand. Like it's not that large.
No, it's just a lot of chords.
It is just a lot of chords.
But no, it's very like doable. And actually, like this little Zoom pod track recorder, before we even heard of the Creation Nation Makerspace, that was the plan. We were just gonna hook up 4 microphones to this little recorder, and then we do it at my place, or we do it at Brad's place, or we do it somewhere.
Just yap.
Just yap.
Just yap.
The yappening.
The happening.
You ever? Did you ever see those Instagram memes of like? I was telling my little sister some problems. She was like, "Damn, girl, I didn't order a yappuccino."
Yeah, I've seen those before. They're so funny.
Love that shit.
Puns will never get not funny.
Nah.
I feel. They're just unreal.
That's kind of like my bread and butter. Big fan of puns. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're pretty huge on me too.
Yeah.
Man, you know, another thing is the connection we've made through the podcast.
Yeah.
Like me, you, Noah, Michael, Daniel, like we're all friends, but then it feels like the podcast we come together and really this is like our outlet for that friendship. Like I don't see you guys a whole lot outside of when we're recording.
Yeah.
So it feels like this is just like when we release this, we're releasing like genuinely just how we are as friends.
Yeah.
Like
and
just
a real conversation.
Yeah. The whole walk up here was just a podcast.
It really was. Like we could have recorded it and we could have been like, yep, that's the podcast for this week.
It would have been 3.5 hours long. Yeah. But yeah, 100%.
Of us just being like, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, being like, oh man, love hurts.
Love
man.
hurts.
I'm getting through it. Staying hard.
Staying hard?
Staying hard.
Okay.
We didn't really say that.
No.
No. It was more like we were more vulnerable than that, for sure. we were in our feels a little.
Yeah, we were. And
Which
I think
still am.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Is like I love a hike because that's when real stuff comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Real conversation comes out. Real like let's get deep, you know?
Yeah.
Deep thoughts with the deep, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It is a crazy thing having such big connections, and then I feel like the things you do when you are like with someone, like you said, when you're going on those car rides or going on those hikes, you really get to meet someone more authentically.
Yeah.
And shit, like when you're doing stuff like that, like when you're at parties and stuff, it's like I know someone, but I don't know someone.
Sure.
You know, and I feel like those moments when we do things together that are slow and maybe tedious.
Yeah, I love opportunities like that because they're such like avenues and gateways for connection.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so obsessed with the idea of connection. Like it's such a like I wrote a short story collection about like connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably my favorite writing I've ever done because it was basically like how does connection shift per story?
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was like a connection between like a dad and his son through food, and like how they can form that connection.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was just like how does a connection form between two strangers?
Yeah.
And then the third one was like brotherly connection, and
brotherly connection is such a
dude. We could talk about that.
Yeah, we could. I love like Mike. If you're listening, you're the goat.
You're the go, homie.
You're the goat. That brother vibe is a whole. I wish everyone could experience having a brother.
Yeah.
To some degree, or at least all you single children out there, that sucks.
All the single children.
All the single children. It's kind of I have such a good connection with my siblings.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's nobody I feel understands me more than my brother and my sister because they've been there the whole time.
They know they've experienced what you've experienced.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so like that is a connection that is like unattainable with other people.
For sure. They've seen you from day one to where you are now.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Especially with you being the youngest. Like they've genuinely seen you from day one.
Yeah.
And they're just like, this little stinker.
This little rascal.
Pissing in fucking coffee cans. And
Man, you know what I did to my sister one time?
What's up?
I don't know why she made me mad, but she did. She did something. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get back at her. And I on the top bunk of the bunk bed me and Michael slept in, I put her pillow on the ground, and I was on the top bunk.
You didn't.
I peed on it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, top shelf whizzed on the pillow.
I guarantee she's going to listen back to this.
Yeah,
She's gonna be like,
I'm sorry,
remember.
Cassie. I might have done that one time.
You can't prove it, but like...
You knew it was me, and I remember lying to you completely. And I don't even remember why I did it.
That's incredible.
But for some reason I did, and I'm sorry. I apologize.
I used to
Just gotta let that one off my chest.
Yeah, you know what? I think
a while.
this is like our confession spot. This is where we can just let shit out and just be
I
like,
peed on my
listen,
sister's pillow as a small child.
A
weird ass kid.
Yeah, somebody's definitely gonna be walking by like on this trail because like we've only seen like 2 other people on this trail.
Yeah.
I guarantee we're gonna say something absolutely unhinged right as somebody's like, "Hey guys," I'm like, "It's for a documentary. I promise.
It's for
Don't worry about it.
Serious here.
Yeah, we're working on something really big. CBC. We're part of the CBC.
You should just start name dropping.
Yeah. It's like
Mark Zuckerberg, you know him?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard my boy Zuck.
Zuck, yeah. We're working for him. So
big Zuck guys.
Move
Move along, please, lady.
I'm allowed to say crazy things.
I'm trying to think of something like the worst things that I did to my siblings growing up.
Oh, probably. What did you?
Well, I definitely didn't pee on their fucking.
No,
pillow.
that was definitely.
That's wild.
That is a pretty wild one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've told anyone that, so now everybody knows.
Now everybody knows. All 30 people that listen to this.
That's my gift to you guys. There you go.
Absolutely.
You know that story.
Congrats. I feel like a lot of it was like I would lock people out of the house. That was a classic.
That's a classic
That's
one.
a classic.
I got taped to a chair naked one time.
You know what? They did talk about this one on the siblings episode.
Yeah,
which you can go back and listen to right now.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that was a funny time. That's kind of messed up. If anything,
man.
like looking back on it, that's really messed up.
Yeah, but I also peed on my sister's pillow.
You did.
That's pretty messed up too.
Yeah.
I feel like there was definitely deserved both ways in some degree.
It was a proxy war. In that, like you were both
sure.
like sending different attacks out.
It was how close could you get to the line without getting in trouble?
Yeah, without accidentally killing your sibling.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Brotherly bond. That connection. Yeah, Riley and I were like, when we were kids, at least we were like tight. In that, I don't know. He was always like the guy that I would follow. Like I was. It was the younger brother syndrome of like.
Oh yeah.
I did it with jobs too, where I was like, I worked at Quiznos, which was like my first job, and then Riley worked at Co-op. Therefore, I was like, oh, okay, that works. So I'll go work at Co-op. Riley went to Red River College. I was like, oh, okay, that works. I'll go to Red River College. You're okay.
You don't think the wind will come in?
It's kind of coming in, but it's not bad.
Oh, okay. I guess you can literally hear it right now.
Yeah.
Does it sound good?
There's like background, like it's not static. It's like air.
It's like ambiance.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, there you go.
Dan's probably gonna be like, we can't use this.
Like, this is awful. This is the worst
Absolutely
audio I've ever
not. But yeah, I was always following Riley growing up, and like he did rugby, I did rugby. He went to Elton, I went to Elton.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was kind of like he paved the way so that I could follow it.
Yeah, for sure. I think Mike did the same thing for me. Like a lot of my passions that I've had and have had have come from Michael introducing them to me.
Okay.
Like video games.
Yeah.
For sure. Always a passion of mine. Athletics. Michael did the gym and played sports.
Yeah.
I followed in those footsteps, you know, like it was always like even like working out, something Michael does a lot.
Yeah.
Introduced me to. And it's always been like, maybe not, I don't know if me and Michael were necessarily competitive, but it's like I always wanted to be him when I looked up. I was like, oh, that's like prime example.
Totally.
Especially like when you're a kid, all your brother's jokes are so funny. And you're like, oh.
Wish I was that cool.
I wish I could do all that.
Damn it.
You never tell him that.
No, of course not. Until he listens to a podcast.
And then he hears it.
I don't think my brother's ever listened to one of our podcasts.
No?
No, I don't think so. It's just not his bag. Like, Riley and I aren't that alike anymore.
Right, yeah. It does happen, for sure.
Yeah.
Me and Mike are lucky enough to kind of have stuck on the same vibe.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I mean, you guys have that connection through gaming, too.
Yeah.
I think, like, that's huge.
Is very big, yeah.
Yeah. And sisters.
Oh,
That sisterly connection.
my sister's the best.
I'm a big fan of Jordan.
Yeah, she's always a good vibe.
She is.
I've never ever got a bad vibe from J-Ran.
I think I've said this before, but she's like, every day I'm shocked at like her dedication, and like commitment to, just being an all-out baller.
Dude, she's a grinder.
Like
I
was talking to my mom the other day. We went out for supper, and
Mhm.
Mom was like, "Yeah, it's kind of wild when I like tell people like what our family is." And it's like, yeah, one of my daughter, she does rugby in BC and plays for UBC and has played on Team Canada like games.
Mhm.
And my son, like Riley, he's like a mechanical engineer, and like he's working at like this gigantic company, and like
Right.
gets to go golfing like every week, and like
Yeah.
he's doing really well, and he's married. And then Randy is no, I always dog on myself, but like, yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good too in terms of school and like
running marathons.
Yeah, I guess I did
You
a half
did the whole
marathon.
marathon thing.
Yeah.
You got a podcast.
Yeah.
You got.
Eventually, I'm going to San Fran, guarantee.
You got to go to San Fran. Yeah,
telling
that
you.
is a thing.
We're gonna
Rand's
get
going
him
to
there.
San Fran.
We're getting there. But yeah, it is kind of wild to be like, especially Jordan. She's like such a like shooting star, you know.
Yeah, she has a sort of dedication that isn't common, for sure.
I agree. It's wild.
Which is like, I don't know if I'd want to be as dedicated as she is.
Sounds tiring. Sounds exhausting.
It sounds very exhausting, and
Yep.
I praise her for being as strong as she is to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think maybe I found the right thing I could, but also
Yep.
she's committed so many hours to that sport.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
I did the half marathon. I was like, I'm done. I'm not running anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Like, that's the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like your guys' like guys' is not a word. I don't know why. I know.
Slap it in there.
Yeah. I like your sibling dynamic between the three of you guys. Like you, Cassie, and Mike.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
It's just wild, especially because like I know Mike and you,
Mm-hmm.
and Cassie is like a fantastic person in terms of
Great person.
Yeah, I just heard a mosquito roll onto one of these mics. That's
It
so
was
funny.
the fly had landed
Yeah.
directly on the thing there.
A special guest. Whoa!
Special guest. Oh.
But yeah, like seeing you guys like whenever you're all together. I remember we did the podcast with Cassie, and it was
Mhm.
Cassie and Mike, and I was like, oh man, it's so funny seeing like other siblings interact with one another.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like that's not how we operate, but
No.
like at the same time, I love that you guys have that dynamic. It's so cool.
We do have a good dynamic.
Yeah.
That dynamic, my siblings just existing,
Yeah.
and knowing that the connection is there has got me through so many pains in life.
Yeah,
Just being able to like, oh, I can fall back on this.
always got support.
Yeah, like recently I've been through a breakup.
Yeah,
And the first thing I did was I called Mike.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Like that's the first thing I did.
that was like
Was like, hey Mike, this is something that happened. And we didn't even say much.
no.
He was like, hey, that's crazy.
Yep. But like
Um,
that's having that support system is huge. Like one of my
Mhm.
first calls was Noah, like after my breakup, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I just need to like have somebody to be near me right now.
Or just to also just experience, like, or at least hear what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, just listening for just 1 second to be able to say out loud the words "we broke up."
Yeah.
it's so powerful.
It is, and it's like the first time that you say that out loud, oh, man.
Just
Holy
break down, man.
dude, like immediately I was sitting on Noah's couch and I said like, yeah, this is happening, and like I didn't even make it through the sentence.
No.
I just started
was just it.
bawling.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
it's weird. Were you super strong? Like you felt very almost disassociated until you said the word.
Yes, I was so spacey, bro.
Yeah, I
Like,
was like, ooh.
I sat on the couch and I didn't want to bring it up. Like I sat on, and Noah was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, and I was like trying to be like, "So what's new with you?" And he's like, "Randy, what's going on?" And I'm
yeah,
like,
it's like I don't want to say it
'Cause I don't wanna say it.
Because
Yeah.
once you say it, it's real.
"Yeah,
But you know, you got to face reality.
absolutely." And I think we talked about that a lot today, where it's like,
yeah.
it's either we brought up this analogy of like getting up off the mat, of like
Yeah.
you get that gut punch, you get that sucker punch, or you just get that legal hit, as they say in like fighting
Right,
like competitions and stuff. That was a legal hit, and you're down on the mat, and that sucks, bro.
Yeah, your face hurts,
Yep.
your chest hurts. It's all kind of shitty
Yep.
down there.
You're probably crying a little bit.
Yeah, you
probably
might
hurt.
be. It
Probably
might
hurt.
be.
But I was just saying that like the thing that I like stuck on was like it's kind of boring to stay on the mat. It's not as fun down there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can stay down there for a bit, but
It's okay to stay down there for a bit.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with staying on the mat
No.
until he counts to 8
yep.
or
But
whatever.
it's a lot more fun getting up, and it's a lot more interesting and exciting.
And you really, I don't think you can understand yourself fully until you learn to get up.
Yeah.
And you learn to get back up again
Yeah.
and back up again.
And take a lesson from getting like knocked down.
It's like maybe I won't like weave left next
yeah,
time. You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean?
It's a good analogy. I like it.
This is a good analogy.
Yeah.
I like the other analogy we had on this one that was like breakups are like thunderstorms
Yeah.
or volcanoes.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you look at it objectively, like without the fear of like, oh, this is a natural disaster that could.
It's been instilled in you that this is a terrifying thing, and like
Yeah.
you need to avoid this at all costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you just take a step back and look at it, it's like it's kind of beautiful. It's kind of like
Yeah.
hell yeah. Like that storm looks amazing
Yep.
as it's rolling in.
Yeah.
And as it's over top of you, it kind of sucks
Yeah.
for sure.
And you're
but,
going to have to deal with the aftermath of it.
Mhm.
But
but once it leaves and you can watch it leave too, it looks beautiful the same way it
just
comes
as
out.
beautiful, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love, you know what the idea of this podcast is, this episode?
What's that?
Men will literally do anything but go to therapy.
That is real. We want to know what?
We went on a 14K hike rather than go talk to a specialist.
For an hour. Instead, we spent
absolutely.
our whole morning
Yeah.
just chatting.
Oh man, but I really like that because like obviously there's a place for therapy, and I really enjoyed my time like doing like therapy sessions. But there's also a time and place for like just sitting and like relaying and relating to another person and being like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. It's like, oh, see, when I was in this spot, I felt this way. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, especially we're in a rare situation where we've both pretty recently have went through it.
Yeah.
And especially after a while on a breakup, you almost can't relate to the feelings as much anymore.
Yeah, it almost becomes too faded to the point. Too faded, bro. I'm
Too
faded.
faded as a motherfucker.
Yeah, it becomes like dull. It's not as sharp as it once was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's great because I would love for it not to be as sharp.
And it will.
And eventually it won't be.
Yeah.
But, it's nice to be able to at least, I don't even know what the analogy for that would
No,
be.
it is fascinating because you and I have been talking like throughout this entire thing about like your breakup, and it's so I don't know what the word is. Not heartwarming, but it is
reassuring.
It's
maybe?
very reassuring to hear the same ideas and notions and emotions and feelings.
And the same things you went through.
Yeah.
And obviously for me, it's probably quite raw
Yeah.
comparatively to where you're at because I haven't had the time.
No,
Which I mean, unfortunately, yeah, you just got to wait it out.
that is the grief process, bro.
That is the grief process. So, but it's interesting to see. For me, it's awesome to see a perspective where it's like, wow, this is what I'll be thinking. This is what my headspace might be in, whatever, how many months down the road. I
Or
don't
it could
know
be
how long
completely
it's been.
different. Like you and I are not the same person.
No,
But
for sure.
we have. Hey, here's a shared experience.
Yeah, we went through this suck at the went through this suck is a crazy line.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
We went through this shitty situation. Both of us have been through it.
Yep.
And we're both gonna end up on the other side.
And we're
better
both
than
at
we were,
different
for
like
sure.
points of time in the process,
Mhm.
and I think that's really fascinating to like have a case study like that. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably realize how far you've come.
Oh,
Seeing-
absolutely, man.
Seeing this, it's like because I feel like you get down that line of processing emotions in general. Sometimes it doesn't feel like you're doing anything.
No, and that
Feels
was
like
my
you
thing.
were standing still.
I felt like I was standing still or regressing, and I
Right.
was like, I was so mad I was mad and upset for so long because I didn't feel like I was making progress. I felt like I was just stuck.
Right.
And I still get that way every once in a while, but
Mhm.
like I have there's a couple things that I can point to now that I'm like, hey, I was at this point a year ago, and I'm at this point now.
Right.
And if I can continue to collect those things that I can point to and be like, hey, you're making progress in life, not even around the breakup, in life.
In life in general. For
yeah,
sure,
like, hey, I did this thing. I went to, I went to Nova Scotia for a semester.
You did do that.
I did do that.
Disappeared to Nova Scotia.
I just
for a
was
full
like,
semester.
see ya. And I tried a thing. I didn't like the thing, but that's not a guarantee. You're not going to be guaranteed to like the thing when you try it.
Mm-hmm.
You can try a different type of ice cream.
You can try a different type of ice cream.
You might not like it, though.
I'm genuinely one of those people that whenever I pick up like snacks and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm always grabbing the weirdest, most obscure thing I've
You got to
never
try new
tried
things,
before.
man.
I tried a dark chocolate mango almond chocolate bar.
Oh,
And it was pretty delightful.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
that's not bad.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like if you search out those new experiences, you learn a lot more about yourself and you learn a lot more about just life, I guess.
Yeah. That's my thing is like, I think you and I share in this and that like, it's very difficult to sit still, and like, have the same experiences over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Complacency for me is something I really don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to avoid it at all costs.
Yeah.
And therefore, I need to keep progressing towards new things. Like I'm going back to Vancouver, but I'm not doing the same things that I did last time I went to Vancouver.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm avoiding everything that I did before because
No.
there's so many things to do in this world
Outrageous amount of things.
that like I still haven't done, and
Like-
I need to go try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You really got to search them out. And I feel like that's something with being newly single that it's like, wow, I felt like I became potentially complacent.
Okay.
And like the idea that I was like, like, yes, I was chill with everything that was going on. Yes, it's like, obviously I was comfortable and I was just okay being where I was.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I can't stay where I am. I got to do something.
Yeah.
I got to move a little forward. And
You
I
have
think that's
to-
something I'm excited about.
You have to adjust to your new schedule and your new way of how your life is gonna like play out for the next little while.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a big change.
For sure.
It's to have a system set up for. How long were you?
Just under a year and a half.
Just under a year and a
basically,
half. Like to have something like that set up and like so ingrained in your day to day,
Oh yeah, and we were friends for a while too. So
Yeah.
it was like, yeah,
and all of a sudden that's just gone.
yeah. All of a sudden, that relationship that I've worked so hard and put so much time into is just out the other way. You
Yeah.
know,
But
which is
that's not. That's very difficult to adapt to,
Mhm.
and like to all of a sudden be like, all right, I gotta. It's like the beginning of the relationship where you had to figure out how that worked.
yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah,
know?
and like not to say it's a bad thing. Like it was, I think it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah.
To have experiences like that, good or bad. It's like, yeah,
Absolutely.
This is forming me into who I'm gonna be. So just got to let it happen.
Yep.
Gotta roll it out. You know,
Yep.
roll out the red carpet.
Take your stroll, take your
Take
walk.
a stroll, yeah. Fall
Jason
down a couple
Derulo has
times.
fallen down the stairs. You know.
yeah. Yeah, bang up your knee a little bit when
Yeah.
you fall, and
Did you hear about who's that guy that got arrested? And he was like, "Oh, this is gonna ruin the world tour."
oh,
You know
I
what I'm
don't
talking about?
No, I don't.
Ah, shoot.
Ruin the world tour? You mean like cycling?
No,
Why do I
it was
think
like
cycling?
it
Hold
was
up.
like a. Damn it! Somebody's immediately gonna know, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's clearly this person, Randy." But
Right.
for some reason, my mind goes to Ryan Seacrest. It's not Ryan Seacrest.
We could go with Ryan Seacrest though.
Okay, like, what's his name? He's like a popular like pop dude,
Okay.
and he's got like those like pop bangers, but they're not good.
The
He played
pop
this.
bangers,
He
but
played
they're
a.
not good.
He played a Super Bowl one year.
Oh, I don't even know, man.
That's tricky. I don't know.
That was
Anyway.
a tricky one.
But anyway, I was just gonna bring up like, I don't even know where I was going with that, Brad. Not
It
gonna lie.
doesn't need to go anywhere.
Doesn't have to go anywhere.
You know,
We don't have to go anywhere.
no, we don't.
We're just hanging out,
It's
watching
okay
the bees fly by.
Yeah. If that thought left you, then maybe it just wasn't supposed to be said.
Exactly, bro.
Maybe that's just the way it was supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed
If
to
it
be.
comes back to you, though, I would love to hear it.
Do you think about fate? Do you think fate's a thing?
You know, I don't, but I do. Like it's hard to completely say no. There's no chance.
Yeah.
Like it feels like so many things are like when I look at my past
Yeah.
and I can think about like when I've been in shitty spots in life or I've been in great spots in life, it
Yeah.
always seems like things happened when they were exactly supposed to happen.
Okay.
Which means I guess I do believe in fate. Because then it's like, it feels like that if I just keep putting my foot in front of the other, I'm going to end up exactly where I'm going to be, or exactly where I need to be.
Yeah.
You know? Which I guess that is literally fate, isn't it? That it's just I'm just meant to be at a certain spot, and I just got to keep walking forward and trying my best, and I'll end up there.
I think so.
I also think that you have a lot of control on where you end up, though.
Yeah. I think, like, agency is, like, we all have agency, obviously. And, like, or do we?
Maybe not.
I took a philosophy course, and they were like, do we? Free will and all that. But, like,
that's a whole nother thing.
I don't know. I don't really see fate as a thing. Like,
You're just like, nah. I mean, I get that for sure.
it
It's
just
like
depends on like what our definition of fate is.
Mm-hmm.
Am I fated or faded? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm more fated than a
more
hoe.
faded than faded, bro.
I'm faded and faded.
But yeah, like I don't see that as a. I was meant to go to this spot on this day,
Right.
and experience this thing that changed my life. You know, like that's just not. I don't see that as a thing.
That's fair. That's fair, though. I mean, yeah. It's like, be crazy to think that your life is planned that far ahead.
Yeah, right.
And honestly,
who cares about my life that much that they're going to be like, okay, and then this is going to happen.
This is gonna happen. I think I agree with you for sure that not everything's planned, but I think some big events seem like they're like, definitely someone was like, yeah, this guy needs that right now. You know what I mean? Like, to grow, this is going to happen to him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But also, could just be chance. And I could just be trying to rationalize why shit happens randomly.
And I think like that's kind of what fate has turned into. Like the cultural conception of fate is just like making sense of the world and making sense of what happened.
Well, yeah, that's half of everything anybody does is just trying to make sense of it all. Music is just trying to make sense of emotions. Art is just, in general, is trying to make sense of the world. Philosophy is literally trying to make sense of the world.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
About music.
Okay.
All right.
I'm in. I love music.
Do we think that the best songs of all times are story songs?
Like,
you know, when you're listening to a song and it's telling a story?
Okay.
Big Iron is one of my favorite songs.
It's a very good song.
Because it tells a story.
Yeah.
From the start of a 3-minute song to the end of a 3-minute song, somehow you have told a story about a guy that walks into town. He's like, I got a big iron on my hip. And he's like, I'm looking for Texas Red.
Right, yeah.
And Texas Red's like, the fuck you will.
Yeah. That's like a very, like, definitely very story-oriented. But story-oriented is like, you have basically a whole plot. But I feel like a lot of music that is popular is very story-oriented. Like, it's a story. But sometimes they be saying some vague ass shit in those things.
That's my thing, though.
Really
is that like
connect the dots.
There's poetic songs and then there's story songs in my mind. And I think like I love a story song, but at the same time, sometimes a poetic song hits.
Yeah.
And like a line in a song where you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, or like, yeah. No, I definitely get what you're saying. Those might be. I love those songs specifically because I feel like you can. Like, you see the journey of somebody, and it's like, especially if you relate to the emotion they're trying to convey.
Yeah.
And then it's like, there's this turning point or this turning line where something changes, like in that, the song, the Cigarette song.
Yeah.
The whole song is like, oh, I guess I can't have this woman, I guess I'll smoke a cigarette instead, and like try and numb the pain or whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, he's like, man, cigarette's not going to fill anything.
The realization. And
it's like, the realization and the growth that he had throughout the song, which is like, it was just one line, but it really was a story. It's like a story, and then maybe that's why I like it so much.
Totally. Yeah, because like that's the kind of like the beautiful thing about art, and I think like the reason why I so push against like the idea is like, oh yeah, like AI can do this. AI and like what we bring to the table is emotion. And trying to translate that emotion into something that is beautiful. And I think like songs and music and TV or like novels, TV, movies, is just emotion translated in a way that like is accessible and is something that other people can relate to. And I think we can't replicate that in a piece of code.
Well, I feel like like it's almost like you can feel someone's, and this is corny as hell.
Go for it.
But it feels like you can feel like a soul, like the soul, when somebody really puts art out there. Like especially like listening to a song on recording compared to listening to a song live.
Yeah.
Is completely different.
So different, man.
It's like all of a sudden you can really feel the emotion. Especially in that way, which is amazing that you can even convey that through a song.
And sometimes like the live recording is like the preferred way. You know, like
any Tyler Childers song ever live is just better.
That's kind of like the idea of MTV Unplugged. You know, like what's that song? Like I think it's called Leda. It's like Leda got me on my knees.
I don't know that song, but
it's a good song.
We'll have to listen to that song on the way back.
But like I think like on the radio, the live version is the one that they play.
And it's like,
because it's that much of a banger.
Yeah, it's like this. Ooh.
It's the same with like Bob Seger's like Turn the Page, in that like they play the live version,
right?
Because the crowd and their reaction to it.
Man.
Oh man!
Oh, imagine just like seeing those crowds, like even like what was the Queen when Queen played?
Yeah, Live Aid.
Live Aid, like the energy created from that many people.
It amplifies and exemplifies.
Yeah,
bro.
It's like everyone experiencing the same emotion at the same time.
Yeah.
Just I don't know if you can feel more like, I don't know, understood, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
You feel quite understood in the crowd, and then the energy would just feel amazing.
It's that shared thing, right? Like that's why I love the movie theater so much, is that you're sharing emotions with other people, even though you're not seeing the other people. It's like what we're doing right now, where we're not staring at each other and like sharing that emotion that way. But it's like a emotion by proximity.
Right, yeah.
And I think concerts, I've only really been to one concert. To be fair, I went to Rock in the Fields too.
Right.
But like, they're just not really my bag, in that like, they're not the thing that I want to be a part of. Like that's not how I want to consume the music.
Right.
But maybe I just haven't been to the right concert. Maybe I haven't had that experience that I'm looking for. Because
the vibe was, you needed to be a little different.
Yeah, because like the one I went to was in Winnipeg, the Avenged Sevenfold concert.
Oh yeah, that would be very.
It was a lot.
Oh yeah,
it was very overwhelming
for sure.
I was just a tiny little kid, and there's one point we're down at the front, and like because we got there early, so we're like on the floor, and I'm like, I don't know, like 150 pounds soaking wet, and we're getting into the main concert bit, and like everybody's doing like the mosh pit shit, and like everybody's just jumping around.
Yeah,
like everybody's just jumping, bro.
It's going crazy.
And this giant of a man just looks over at me, puts his like maybe 60-pound arm like across my shoulders, and just starts jumping with me. And I'm like, first of all, this is really cool, but at the same time, you might break me.
Like I might die.
I might die right now.
Potential to kill me.
You could crush me, bro. And I was so like, I gotta get out of here.
I gotta go.
I gotta go.
This guy falls over. I'm done. There's a butterfly.
There's a butterfly.
Hello, little buddy.
That's what I'm saying, man. We can't have this in the booth.
No, I wish there was butterflies in the booth.
Let's get some butterflies in the booth.
You just drop a bunch.
Yeah.
He's gonna hang out on the podcast.
Yo, you gotta. How do you feel about Fate? Butterfly? Oh, he's gone.
He just flew away. He
doesn't want to talk about it. Doesn't want to talk about it.
He knows. He knows something we don't know.
The government probably knows, and he's part of the government.
He's a spy.
Classic. It's my favorite thing to do.
Just blame everything on the government.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
I'll like stub my toe. I'm like, fucking government, man. Even though I'm not political at all. It's funny. Yeah.
Avenged Sevenfold. Michael went to that one too, didn't
he?
It
was me, Mike, and Carter, and Anna and Caleb, I think, came too.
Yeah. That was. Yeah. Michael really liked it, that concert when he came back. He said.
Mike's a concert guy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He's at. I think Folk Fest would be my vibe potentially.
You think so?
That seems like when they were posting the videos, everyone was kind of chilling in lawn chairs and just like drinking a few beers, and the energy's high. Yeah. But everyone's in like.
But it's also not like too high.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody's like freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Country Fest isn't my thing.
Really high.
Yeah, that would help.
Probably all of them are pretty stoned.
Yeah,
fair. But
stony baloney.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
it's crazy that that's like a thing.
That people just get high now.
Like growing up, how like very much like, whoa, don't fuck with weed.
Ever.
Don't do it, bro. And then like all of a sudden it was just like, oh yeah, you can just buy it now.
And everyone's like, oh okay.
To the point, it's gotten to the point now that I think like weed stores are kind of going out of business, and that like it's so normalized now that it doesn't like it's not as popular. Like when it became legalized, everybody was like, "Oh, we gotta go. We gotta try it."
The fad of it.
Yeah, the fad of it. Yeah.
Like the initial excitement is like, oh yeah.
And I think they rode that wave for a bit, and then COVID happened, and then everybody just kind of was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, but I feel like the people that smoke weed like really, really smoke weed.
True.
There's some people out there that drop 100 bands a week on.
Damn.
100 bands.
100 bands, bro.
$100.
Yeah.
100 bands would be crazy.
That'd be wild.
On like a bag every single time, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, that's what people are doing, I guess.
I was about to say, people do that with going to the liquor store.
That's true. Yeah, people do that. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, spending money on what you want.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like let's talk about drugs for a second.
Okay.
And, do you think drugs are inherently a bad thing, or what is your thoughts on like in my opinion, I feel like alcohol's great if used in moderation, and it opens when you start to get a decent buzz, I feel like you're more open about yourself, you're more engaged in conversation.
Drunk words are sober thoughts.
Yeah, it's like you're more like natural, but if you go too far down that road, obviously it's like, oh brother, you know what I mean?
I think like with everything, doesn't even have to be drugs. It has to be like, it can be like, I don't know, like let's say food.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Everything is great in moderation.
Right, but you eat too much food, then it's like
you eat too much food, and then all of a sudden it's not so great anymore, is it?
No.
Like, I don't know. I'm not like, full disclosure, I'm just not really. I don't really do drugs. And I know, like, when you say that, you sound like such a nerd. You sound like, I don't do drugs.
I don't do them. No, for sure.
I don't smoke crack.
For sure, yeah. I might smoke crack one day. Who knows?
Really?
No, fuck no. Not a chance, man. There's no chance.
Absolutely not, bro.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be nuts. No thanks. Yeah, no. Drugs are like, yeah, like they're always like, there's such a thing in like media. And like you're watching like,
they're very popularized now, aren't they?
Kinda,
yeah.
But at the same time, they're also like, they were demonized for so long that of course,
yeah,
that they're gonna be like out and about now.
That's true.
Yeah, it can be. It's like I don't know. That's good. It's a good question. It's a good topic.
It's a slippery
slope
for sure.
Moderation, baby.
Moderation's a huge thing, and I don't know. My take is like, I feel like they loosen your mind a little bit sometimes. Like, you know, like, life can be very railroaded, and like the way you think, and like people's expectations, and how people expect you to act, or how you're nervous about certain things because of how people react. And I feel like sometimes it takes that away just for a second, just for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it shows you that, hey, on the other side, if you can work through this anxiety you feel, work through this, and you can just do this sober, it's like, it's like, here's a different mindset, here's a different perspective on the world as entirely. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which is kind of how I think about it, but also at the same point, if you stuff yourself into this different perspective all the time, then you're just like kind of out of touch with reality, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I don't really want to be. It's pretty beautiful out here.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing like that. Life is my drug, bro.
Real. That's real.
For real, bro. Yeah. So that fly. Listeners, I apologize if you're wearing headphones on this one. And you hear a bunch of flies and mosquitoes and stuff. Nothing we can do.
People probably swiping.
Yeah.
Swiping.
Yeah, they're like, what the hell is that?
What is that?
Get that shit out of here.
You ever watch a video and then there's like, you're wearing headphones and there's like one of those directional sounds?
Yeah.
Or like a knock or something, and
dude,
then you're like,
hello. There's been a couple songs lately where like there's like traffic noise.
Oh yeah.
Or like a honking horn.
Mm-hmm.
I like look around. I'm like, I'm in a fucking apartment. What am I doing?
I've been caught by police sirens in songs
Ooh.
so many times. I'll be like, ooh, look in the rear view. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Where is it? The phantom car.
I was like,
the ghost car.
I was like, oh shit.
I woke up this morning with no power.
Yeah, you did wake up this morning with no power.
So Brad and I went to go pick up Brad at 7, and I woke up and like I just like went to turn on my lamp and it just wasn't working. I was like, wait a fucking minute. And
wait.
And I was like listening for my air conditioner unit, which is so loud. And I was like, oh, it's not on. Oh, it's going to be boiling in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of weird. I just woke up and I was like, man, I've never, like, full disclosure, I used to like, I live in the upstairs apartment of a building I used to live in the downstairs apartment of, like, a couple years ago.
Right.
And like throughout that entire time, power's never been out there. So it was really weird to like wake up and be like, what the
I ain't got no power.
yeah, I ain't got no power. And I'm like in the bathroom trying to like see where my toothbrush is, and I was like, damn, bro.
It's been a weird day in general, to be honest.
It has, but I like it.
No, it's good. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's just also been just so new.
Yeah.
Something I haven't really experienced all of today.
Yeah, because you don't really go hiking that much.
No,
Yeah.
I've never. This is my first time really going on a hike.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it's kind of like it's fun. It's nice. It's nice to just like escape for a bit and like not focus on anything other than what's around you.
Yeah, I mean the conversation you're having. Like there's literally nothing else we can distract ourselves with.
The only thing you can do is talk.
Yeah.
I love situations like that.
The only thing you can do is create connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point.
That's why I love talking.
Maybe the podcast is kind of like this. You have no choice but to create a connection. Right
Genuinely,
now.
that's kind of why I really enjoy the podcast.
Yeah.
Is we all have to sit in a room and we have to talk to each other.
We have to be like
I'm forcing you guys to talk to me.
Talk to me, please.
Please. I just want to talk to somebody. But no, like if I ever like date ideas to me are going for a walk or going to a coffee shop or just like connecting through conversation.
Yeah, connection through conversation.
I'm telling you, man.
The best dates are always like that.
So I guess like, I mean, the podcast is kind of a date every week or every other week.
Just a bunch of boys going on a date.
Yeah. No. But yeah, like that's my idea. Like for some reason, I look at the idea of going to the movies on a first date as a terrible first date.
Because you don't say anything.
Because you don't say anything.
You just sit there in each other's presence.
And I would just like overthink it and be like, am I supposed to do something?
Oh man, I went on one movie theater date and
No.
that was exactly the experience.
Yeah.
I remember putting my arm around her and we both knew it was the most uncomfortable
Oh,
position
no.
ever. But I was just too nervous. I didn't want to move it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
just run with it. It was funny though.
I love that.
Awkward first dates have got to be some of the funniest.
See, I haven't done many first dates, so I'm very happy with like the ones that I have done.
Yeah,
But-
I've had only a few, and sometimes there's a little awkward one, and it's like, ooh, yeah,
yeah.
it's like nothing wrong with this person at all. I just
No.
feel like both little closed off. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. What's like? I don't know. Because like I feel like on. You ever follow Winnipeg Wilden?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Yeah.
some crazy shit on there.
There's some crazy shit on there. But like if you follow them, then the algorithm knows that you want to see like Winnipeg content sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
So like I think I saw one that was like a meme of like. Raise your hand if you've been taken on a first date too, and then it's like the Forks,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the Bomber Stadium or whatever. I'm like, damn, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like in Brandon, what are you supposed to do for a first date?
Bowling.
Right?
Bowling, movie theater.
Yep.
Or just like
Restaurant, breweries. We have breweries now.
Breweries are good.
But you both have to be able to like both be into drinking.
And drinking beer specifically.
Yeah, beer
which
is. I feel like it's going out of fashion.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I enjoy a good beer. I had an IPA for the first time.
Ooh.
Yesterday. It was
Yeah?
really good. I enjoyed it. There's obviously some downsides to an IPA.
Sure.
But I think if you can get through that, I
Mhm.
feel like it's a very enjoyable beer.
Been getting into wine lately.
If you just don't hate the things that you don't like about it, then you'll just like it, man. It's just how it is. We get into wine.
Yeah, I've been getting into wine lately.
I like wine.
Yeah,
I
it's,
really
it's,
like
it's
wine.
tasty. I like it. It's like it's fruit juice.
It really is. And
Yeah.
honestly, like the burn isn't terrible.
No, it's fine.
It's really not even.
It's really not that bad.
No.
Been getting into like wine pairing. So I'll look up like what goes well with like a Greek meal.
Yeah. On the topic of like wine and like
Yeah.
cheese and like meals and shit.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried cheese and grapes before?
I can't say that I have.
If you ever get the chance to try a cheese with a grape,
Okay.
you should do it. Obviously, wine, I guess, is literally grapes. So
Yeah, I guess that's true.
but an actual grape and cheese is good.
That
And
does
then
sound
have
kinda
a glass
banging.
of wine.
That does sound kind of banging.
Oh, it's so good for
I'm into
some
that.
reason.
Yeah, there's some things like I don't know. Growing up, nothing tasted better than a PB&J with a glass of milk.
Oh man, I love a PB&J. I should have packed one.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
Yeah, were you?
Yeah.
I should have thought.
And I woke up and I was like, I only have 10 minutes to go get bread,
and the power's not on.
and the power's not on. I can't see where my bread is.
Yeah. It's all
Um,
right. I was literally trying to sleep as much as I could.
Yeah,
I was just lying there.
I think it was like last night. I was like, do I cancel this? I'm like, no, I want to go do this.
No,
I want to go
so
do this.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't. Because I also, like, I'm probably not running on very much sleep right now. I stayed up pretty late.
Yeah.
And I was
And
having
then
a
I
few
was like,
drinks
hey,
last
let's
night.
go for a 7 a.m. hike.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
I was like, sure, let's do it.
Why not?
But I was committed, man. I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, I'm glad that you came around for this.
Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
I was very worried for the text of like, Rand, it's not happening.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely happening.
Absolutely
I was
happening.
committing. I've been looking forward to this all week,
Me too.
wondering about how this would turn out.
Hyped it up to my friends at work,
Yeah.
my coworkers.
I told my buddy that I was like, we're going on a hike and doing a podcast. He's like, that might be the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I was like,
I genuinely think
Thank
people
you.
will click on this one. I think they'll be like, oh, that's such a unique idea.
Yeah.
I love it. Brad,
Mm-hmm.
we've been yapping for 55 minutes.
Has it been 55 minutes already? Oh my god.
Isn't that wild?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I hope that this was entertaining. I hope that this was a real, like a deep
It was pretty real.
delve into
We got
Rand and
pretty
Brad.
deep. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. We're doing things.
Yeah. I wish everybody listening could see this right now.
Yeah, it's a great view. I'm gonna take a picture and post it, but
it is beautiful.
yeah,
And I wish you guys could see this, and maybe you guys should go try and see
go
it.
for a hike.
Go
I'm
for a
telling you,
hike.
it's a great time.
Talk to your buddies.
Hit me up. I'll go for a hike with you. Guarantee.
Everybody who likes this, Randy will hike with.
I'll hike with you. I'll do it.
Just it's a million likes.
Yeah.
It's game
It's
over.
like shit. Well, everyone, we're gonna do our quick outro, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey Dan.
Hey Dan, man.
Hey, thanks for editing and creating dope music for our podcast, which you're probably hearing right now,
Yeah.
unless we're hearing just the nature sounds.
Maybe there is.
I was really hoping for like a loon or like an owl to pop in
Right,
the
yeah,
background
like,
and be like, "Ooh,"
Yeah, that would have been nice.
That would have been sick. That's okay though. Just the sounds of flies and mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's really what you get.
Dulced tones.
And leaves
Yeah,
and wind. That's
just the
about it.
wind blowing.
That's okay
I like it. I was gonna say thanks to the Christian Nation Makerspace, but we're not there.
though. No, we're not.
So thank you to the Rocky Mountain National Park for hosting us today. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. It's kind of neat.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for. I don't know. What do they do?
I don't know. Like
Taking care of the trails
Yep,
and everything.
maintenance.
Yeah,
It's huge.
appreciate that. Building those stairs up to this mountain we went on.
Absolutely.
Thing.
Bald Hill is cool.
Bald Hill is cool. That is where we are, by the way.
Yeah, we're just
we
at
are right
Bald
by
Hill.
Bald Hill.
Yep.
And Riding Mountain
National Park. Love it.
It's like a tongue twister right now. For some
I'm thinking
reason.
about lunch. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm pretty hungry.
Yeah.
We
Let's
gotta
go.
walk back.
Let's get back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll chat with you later.
Yeah.
All
Stay
right.
safe, guys. See you later.
See ya. Bye. So I says to her, I says.
You always end it like.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of fun.
It is.
I don't know. I watched like Small Engine Repair with John Bernthal and fucking.